said, hola, ¿cómo está? She said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said, bonjour, madame. And then she says, say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. She said, hola, ¿cómo está? Said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said, bonjour, madame. And she says, say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. I'm feeling kinda young, I'm feeling reckless. Let me hold you, let me grab you by the necklace. I'll show you what the good loving and sex is. It turns you on when I got you feeling helpless. And I'ma eat you up for dinner, lunch and breakfast. Bring your friends along, cause they are on the guest list. We can fool around I'm breathless. Hold off the drinks, how my body's feeling selfless. She's telling me this, she's telling me that. You said you take me with you and you never go back. Now I got a lesson that I wanna teach. I'ma show you that where you from, it don't matter to me. She said, hola, 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 ¿cómo está? She's hola, 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 hola. You know I love them all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Loaded Mag NUFC, the Fully Loaded Transfer Show. We are back again to talk transfers, names, and we've got a special guest tonight to go into detail about them. But first of all, welcome to the chat, everyone in the chat, and welcome, Daz. How are you, fella?
Not too bad, Pete. Not too bad at all. As the song goes there, you know I love them all. I think we're going to have plenty to talk about with Antonio because I know Antonio loves them all as well. Yeah, but let's go with his favourites maybe tonight. But all good at me. Busy day at work. And yeah, nearly halfway in the week though. And nearly the end of the season. The end is in sight finally. But Pete, how are you?
Yes, we're counting down the days. To be fair, on the talk by last night, I said, my season's done as far as I'm concerned. Forget about Fulham. Season's done. We can look forward to the summer now. But no, in all seriousness, all good. Halfway through the week. Looking forward to this show. Looking forward to getting Antonio's thoughts on a few players. And yes, keep an eye out for some players that Antonio might well be suggesting as possible targets as well. Names that you may not have heard before. So we love to have this conversation. And let's get him on. Let's welcome back Antonio Mango to the channel.
Antonio Mango. And behind him, the world's smallest door. Have a look at that.
I'm in the world's smallest room as well. He's all right.
Yeah, all good.
All good.
Thanks for having us back on.
No, of course. Great to have you back on, fella. Always good to have a chat. And I always feel like this is a good time in the year to have a conversation around transfers. We're just edging towards the end of the season. Big transfers summer, hopefully, ahead of us. Lots of new names. And, Antonio, it's a new strategy for the club. And this strategy may well fill into your expertise, which is why we wanted you on tonight, because we are looking at a different type of player. And I know you've come armed with a few suggestions, so we will get into that, that's for sure. But just really quickly, before we get into this, just quick conversation, quick points that we have to address, because there's always news with regards to Newcastle United.
Never a dull day.
Every day. Never a dull day. You're absolutely right, Antonio. And we had some significant news around the potential new stadium. So Newcastle United have released that they've completed the purchase of a significant portion of the historic Leazes Terrace building next to St. James's Park. As you can see in the picture below, there is a significant part. It even talks about a vast majority of that particular area. And the questions being put out there, lads, I want to get both your opinions on this, is that what does this mean for a potential new stadium? Does it mean a stadium redevelopment, or does it mean a new stadium, but does that hold a significant part, Leazes Terrace, in that? I just want to get your thoughts on that really quickly. So, Antonio, I'll come to you. What are your initial thoughts? If you've seen the information, I imagine you have on socials. Just your only thoughts.
Yeah, I think their preference is to go to a new stadium. I think personally they would want that because in my opinion, you're going to double your revenue than what you do expanding St. James's Park. And I think that's what their eyes are looking on. And to be honest, if we want to get to where we want to be, it's got to be a new stadium for me. Although I love St. James's, I think that is the next step, the next direction. And I think PIF know that. So that's why we're seeing all these talks about third-party investors, because that's what Man City did, that's what PSG did, and it just makes sense. So I think this is the first step into that direction, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And Dad, do you agree with what Antonio said? Do you have a different perspective? I know it's throwing up a lot of questions between the fan base. I know one or two have got opinions in the chat as well about this. Where do you kind of sit in terms of what you think it might be?
Yeah, well, like I always thought that they're going down the direction of a new stadium. Then I saw that today. I was like, what's happening? Like everyone else did, I'm sure, first. And then like reading between the lines and listening to reading some of the comments on X and stuff. Could it be? I know they're still keeping their options open, and they're still keeping us guessing. And I really would love an answer one way or the other. But yeah, is it going to be used as some kind of bargaining chip with in some capacity that they do it up some way? I don't know what, but proceed with building a new stadium. I don't really know, but I think that's potentially the way they're going. But how long more are we going to be waiting though? That's the thing. It's going to drag on and on and on. Yeah,
it's one of them it's significant because obviously we've always talked about sort of Leeds Terrace being something that stopped us from being able to build on the East Stand, but this obviously throwing it up in the air. There's lots of people, one or two in the chat as well, saying they can't knock them down effectively. So it is putting us back to square one in terms of a potential redevelopment of the East Stand. But does it hold any significance in terms of a new stadium? In terms of land and area, space, whatever it may well be, we don't know. But the one thing that I just wanted to say on that is that obviously there's been questions, and we've questioned the ownership as well with their stance on moving forward. Are they committed to Newcastle United? Has normally been the question. Well, if they're willing to buy a significant piece of land there within that moment, again, as well as the training ground, which we're waiting on the announcement for, it just show you again that Newcastle's owners are still fully committed in terms of wanting to get the right move, the right stadium, the right fit for Newcastle to move us forward. So I think above anything else, I do think it strengthens their kind of holding on wanting to take Newcastle United forward. But just a quick one, boys. Do you agree with that, or have you still got sort of question marks there?
Do you want to go, or should I?
Go for it.
The guests can always go first.
Personally, I've never had question marks. I think they've always wanted to do this. I think it would be foolish to sell now before they build a new training complex and a new stadium, because if they do that first, they'll spend a little, but they're going to make a little because they'll double the money afterwards. Because the what's the word I'm looking for? The price of Newcastle United will just double with a new stadium and new training complex. So if they're going to sell, it's going to be after this, because I think they want to get this in place because they'll just double the money, spend a little to make a little, but on a grander scale. That's my opinion.
Yeah, do you share that opinion, Daz?
Yeah, it is interesting that they're looking for investors to kind of partner up and sell a minority stake in Newcastle United to do that. But look, that's the way they want to do this, and they see it as the best way to go about it as well. And as you said, Pete, like it is shown that they do want to stick around by buying this for 20-25 million in between those kind of figures. So they're not intent on leaving anytime soon. But it just has this feeling though as well as being positive. It also has a feeling about we're constantly kind of kicking the can down the road. Tell us something, I know, Just tell us what you're going to do. It's frustrating. We've been going. How many years has this been going on now, and we still don't know? And especially the training ground as well. I know we're waiting any day now, but tomorrow never seems to come.
Yeah, they did say early 2026 would know about the training ground. didn't they? There was reports in
Yeah.
2025, and we're still waiting. So you're right.
Halfway through the year, man. We're
I know.
still waiting. It's crazy. But hopefully, as soon as the season ends, I'm hoping it's next week. If I'm going to be honest with you, lads, I'm hoping that once this season's done,
in chat.
and then it's going to be announced. But welcome, Foxy. Foxy may know some of the players that you're about to suggest.
Foxy will.
He definitely will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, just a quick truth or rubbish on this link with Lewis Hall today.
Just seen that as I was coming on.
Yeah, Alex of Talksport. I have to add, Manchester United supporting Alex Crook of Talksport has reported that Lewis Hall is open apparently to leave Newcastle United this summer, and lo and behold, Manchester United are interested. News about Chelsea being interested as well. Truth or rubbish? What do we think, Antonio?
Do you want us to be honest, or speak through the heart and what I hope?
Honest.
Because look, the way I look at it, clubs, why wouldn't they be interested in Lewis Hall? Do you know what I mean? So, like, why wouldn't they be? And if you're Lewis Hall, as a footballer, you've got to keep your options open. You're not going to close any doors. So I don't believe that he's come out and said he wants to leave or he's interested in leaving. I just believe that if we don't stop meeting ambitions, then they will want to leave soon. That's my opinion. But do I think he'll go? No, because he's under contract and he's probably one of our highest valuation players. So if anybody wants to buy him, they've got to spend a lot of money. So I think he will be here next season. But I just think we need to stop meeting their ambitions a little bit more. That's my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that. It's hard to say yes, he wants to leave, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we need to stop meeting a bit of ambitions. We can't have the same season what we've just had. We need to have a very good season next season to be like, yeah, that was a one-off sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
that's my.
I know. I hear that. Daz, do you agree with that from an honest perspective from Antonio?
I see what Antonio is saying there. Yeah, we do need to progress, but on the report, bullshit. That is not happening. He is going nowhere, and neither is Bruno. Tino, on their other hand, though, who knows what's happening there.
Who knows with that one? I know Arsenal Fans TV were rumouring to say that they'd agreed or that I've seen that video last night. I'm not sure about that. Arsenal Fans TV have done that before. Sometimes they've got it right, sometimes they haven't. In this case, I'm not really fussed. But with Lewis Hall, I would not be surprised if this is a classic agent move to try and get a new contract for Lewis Hall. Yeah, that was what it would be. And yes, there is some breaking news, not Newcastle related, but some significant news for potentially the Premier League. It's just coming out. It's just coming out now. I'll go with Keith Downey. I know Ben Jacobs reported it first, but I'll go with Keith Downey. Mega breaking news: Southampton have been expelled from the Championship playoffs. Middlesbrough will now compete in the final against Hull on Saturday at Wembley. Southampton have admitted multiple breaches of filming other clubs training at EFL hearing. Multiple clubs. Or multiple breaches. Wow, that is historic, really. Being expelled from the Championship playoff finals. What do you make of that, boys? I know we're going left field here, but wow.
Do you know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the fans and the players because they didn't have anything to do with it. So, like, I kind of feel sorry for them, but I think the Premier League, well, not the Premier League, EFL had to set a precedent, and this is what they've obviously done. Because if they just fine them, then more clubs will just do it and just pay the fine. Do you know what I mean? So they had to do something, but I don't know. I mean, if you're a Borough fan, you're absolutely buzzing. But I feel horrible for the Southampton fans.
Yeah.
Because I would hate it if it was Newcastle.
That's our friend, our content creator. Mike's a Southampton content creator. He's going to be in bits today, bless him.
He'll be fuming.
Absolutely.
I'd be fuming, to be fair.
But
Graham Bailey definitely won't be. The poster line up. We must be alive. Graham is actually going to come on with us next week, actually, Chatter. So that's a heads up for you. But maybe I'll make the poster live while we're on the show. But that would mean as well, Pete, that because we've never had since we've been running Loaded. We've never had a whole our borough representative for our big match preview. So someone different as we go into next season. So interesting. As along with Coventry, of course. Yeah.
We could have a full Northeast contingent.
Yeah,
we haven't had that for a while with Sunderland up against us. That could be really, really interesting. But that is the breaking news that's going on right now. I am really mindful that we're going to move on because we've got some players to discuss. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to move quite swiftly onto that. And what I've done, I've just naturally started Mango in the team. Started from goalkeeper and we work our way through the team to striker.
Yeah.
Okay. So to start with, there is one player that I know you wanted to bring to the table that hasn't been linked with Newcastle, but it is sort of gaining a little bit of interest, and it's this man here. Now, I want to get his name right. So his name is Luca Brumans, if I'm pronouncing that right.
That's how I would pronounce it.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about Luca Brumans.
So he's just a very, very good, well-rounded goalkeeper, and he's getting a good education. He's currently at Genk. He's getting a good education at Genk. When you think about all the goalkeepers that have come out of Genk, Thibaut Courtois, who else? Mike Pendas, who's currently at Strasbourg, who will be Chelsea next year, and the guy that went to RB Leipzig, and I've forgotten his name, Verdemont or something, Martin Verdemont. I've forgotten how you pronounce it, but Genk have always had good goalkeepers coming out and very educated. Now, I've seen this guy at youth level so many times playing for Belgium youth or Genk themselves, and he's always been incredible. Just, do you know what I like about him? Just how calm he is. Always calm in possession. When crosses are coming in, he's commanding. He's just, I can see him having a very, very bright future. So I think if we are looking to bring in, he might not be ready for the Premier League now. But what I was thinking is maybe once Nick Pope leaves, if we're bringing a number one this season, once Nick Pope leaves, he'd be a good understudy just to develop within the club. And that's the type of profile I would go for because I think he stands at 6'4" and he's 6'5", maybe, something like that. He's 18 at the moment. And he's just starting to creep into the first team at Genk. And every time I watch him, I'm just like, yeah, he's got something about him. And like, just good handling, good shot stopper, calm in possession, calm on the ball, good at commanding his penalty area. He's just well-rounded, nice goalkeeper. He doesn't really specialize in much. He's not really a specialist in one thing. He's just good at everything, Mr. Reliable. That's what I like. And I like a calm presence when it comes to goalkeepers. So he's definitely one to watch out for in the future.
Definitely. It's a player that I wasn't aware of. Daz, not sure if you were aware of him as well. But the question I've got for you, Daz, is that in relation to Luca Brumans is, is it out of the realms of possibility that we do sign a number 2 goalkeeper this summer? We all know that we need a number 1, but is it out of the realms of possibility that Nick Pope maybe leaves and we get someone like a Luca Brumans, a young 18-year-old, got massive potential that could potentially grow within the club? Is that something you'd be against, or would you be all for that?
I'd be all for that, because if we can pick up a transfer fee for Pope, why not? Like he's going to be like only going to be a sub keeper for us next year, so I'd be all on for that. I know we talked about goalkeeper that we're linked with there from the Ligue 2. The last show, but this guy, I know nothing about him. I just looking him up now, but he's Belgium under 19, and he's been the captain of that Belgium under 19 team. So it kind of feeds into what you're saying, Antonio. He's a bit of a leader as well. So why not? Why not look into him? And Ross Wilson get on the case.
Absolutely. And William Smith, you can come again. I like that. I like that. About my height. William Smith, you read the manual, you know the script. I like it.
I'll just walk out my small door now, shall I?
I love it. We'll move on because, lads, there's another goalkeeper that's also been linked actually with Newcastle United, going to the German league now, and it's this man here. He looks the part. He's wearing this shade. He knows what Loaded Mag is all about.
Bring him home.
And this lad here is absolutely bring him home. That is for sure. And so I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Is it gone? Oh.
It's gone, yeah. There.
Yeah, I'm having some issues with it. But it's Mia Backhorse and another goalkeeper that's been heavily linked. Florian Plattenberg did mention that Newcastle are one of the teams alongside Freiburg that are interested in the Werder Bremen goalkeeper. They'd like to keep him, but the interest is strong. So just a word on this young goalkeeper, Antonio, like someone that you know much of, and how do you rate him?
I actually stumbled across him this season when I was watching Karim Koulibaly for Werder Bremen. And then I seen him pull off a couple of saves and I was like, oh, he's a bit interesting. So what I like and what I don't like about him, I think he's super calm in possession. I think he's very, very good with the ball at his feet. He's good shot stopper. He's got good reactions. But one thing that does put us off is he can come across a little bit weak sometimes in terms of even when long range shots, his positioning's not very good. He can be a little bit hitty missy. Now, that comes with inexperience because he's not very experienced. So I would say the next two we'll probably talk about are better shot stoppers, in my opinion. But I think him is a collective in terms of playing out from the back with the ball at your feet, and that's what we expect from goalkeepers now. And I think that's the next evolution Newcastle need to go to. He's got all those attributes. So if you can just teach him a little bit and just calm him down a little bit when it comes to coming out. So I think sometimes he rushes out of his goal and he does cause a few errors. And I think if you can just settle him a little bit and just say, look, a little bit of experience, you don't need to go and get that ball, just let your defender deal with it or just something like that. But he's a very, very talented goalkeeper. He's just not the finished article, just needs a little bit of polishing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Again, this one falls maybe on the sort of like on the fence a little bit because he has still got those areas to polish up, but there's massive potential there. Is it maybe a year too early for a player of that sort of description that Antonio's just described?
So it's 22. So like you imagine he'd want to be wanting first team football. Now he's edging into that kind of territory. Well, just on the links I see where he seem to be heavily linked with them. Freiburg, Brighton are thinking about it. Borussia Dortmund, Bayern, and Leverkusen, AC Milan, and Inter Milan are credited with interest as well. So yeah, we do seem to be looking at him, I'd say. So who knows?
Yeah, I honestly think he'll have a good career. But I just think there's just certain moments where you watch him and you're just like, calm down a bit. That's the only thing. But once he starts leveling out and calming down and settling his nerves, I think he'll be a fantastic goalkeeper.
Yeah, he does look the part. I just wasn't sure if he was a year too early in terms of his development. I know. Obviously, he's in his early 20s, but I don't know if we'd want a more refined goalkeeper at this point. Someone that looks a little bit more ready to go. But he, like I say, tremendous potential, and you can see why Newcastle are looking at him.
Yeah, definitely
for sure. Like you said, the other two probably a little bit more stand out with their overall abilities. One player again has been linked with Newcastle is this man, Ewan Jawan of Rome in Ligue 2. We've talked about him before on this show previously. He was linked with Sasha Tagliori at Foot Mercato. He says that he's already visited Newcastle and could be as cheap as 20 million euros So tell us a little bit about Ewan Joan.
Yeah, I really like this guy. This guy he's ready to play that next step up because he's obviously been playing the second division in France. But you can see standing out in his league. Like, I think he's kept like 15 clean sheets this season. He's got an excellent save percentage. I think it's above 60. I think it's roughly about 68%, what I was looking at. But he's a very, very good shot stopper. I think he reminds me a little bit more of Ritter that we'll probably talk about later on, where he's just a very, very good shot stopper, comfortable in one-on-one situations. If there was an area for improvement, again, it would just be decision-making, when to come out your box, when to not. But I think in terms of reaches, reflections, reactions, all that sort of thing, he's a very, very good goalkeeper. Very good goalkeeper. Pulls off some absolute worldies of saves as well. So for 20 million, I think that is a bit of a bargain because I think his valuation is just going to double within time. So in my opinion, that would be an excellent signing.
Just another quick question on that. Do you think, in your opinion, if Newcastle did put the money down and sign him, do you think from what you've seen of him, he would be ready to be our first choice goalkeeper?
Ooh. I think, in my opinion, he would have to be ready because, in my opinion, I don't think we can go into next season with Nick Pope.
Agreed.
However, I think the fans would have to be a little bit patient with him because when you bring in a young goalkeeper, you've got to, because when goalkeepers make mistakes, 9 times out of 10, you're going to concede. So you've got to, with young goalkeepers, you've got to expect a few mistakes. James Trafford made a few with Man City this season. It happens. So I think as long as we're a little bit patient with him and just accept that maybe he will make a mistake or two and we can get over that, I think you'll be excellent for us. But in terms of my opinion, I think he could definitely come in and take that number 1 spot. But I think fans would have to be a little bit patient.
Okay. I know we've talked about him before, Daz, but like, does that sort of give you sort of confidence that we might well go and sign him? Because again, he's another player we've been heavily linked with, and could maybe take the mantle.
Yeah, I still haven't checked him out actually because I'm kind of set on getting either Trafford or Robin Risa for our number 1 spot. I'm not looking anywhere else, Antonio, but I know we're delving down. So I can't see us paying 20 million for a second choice keeper. And also just looking at transfermarket.com, so the prices there are very reliable. He's down 4 million euro. So we ripped off for 20 million euro. So if we can get him for 4 million, bring him in. And
that would be good.
But I don't know. I can't see us going big on 2 keepers because we've a hell of a lot more positions to fix as well. So, and I don't like the idea of having Pope number 1 and having him playing getting integrated into the team. That's a definite no for me.
I agree with that. Completely agree. Completely.
Definitely one to watch again. Another goalkeeper. That's 2 now that have been linked with Newcastle United. It's clearly a position that we need to strengthen. And look, we'll come to the next man here, Robin Risa, Ligue 1 goalkeeper of the year. Just been called up to the French World Cup squad in place of Lucas Chevalier, who was linked with Newcastle United last summer and has found himself on the bench at PSG. But Robin Risa had a wonderful season at RC Lens. Just tell us a bit about him, what you've seen of him and what you think, Antonio.
I think out of the 2 we've spoke about, this guy's the most similar to James Trafford. This guy reminds me in terms of strengths and weaknesses. I think this guy's he's one of the reasons why RC Lens finished 2nd and qualified for Champions League, because he's been absolutely outstanding. One thing I will point out is the defense in front of him has been incredible. Like the defense midfield in front of him, he's not faced as many shots as the other 2. So when you're balancing it on that, he's conceded less goals, but he's faced less chances to concede goals. So you need to even it out that way and be a little bit balanced. What I like about him, his shot stopping's incredible. Like, he's always anticipating what the striker's going to do rather than waiting for the striker to take a shot, because you can see his footwork always moving before the striker takes a shot. I think that's incredible. And he's very comfortable with the ball out at his feet. However, RC Lens aren't a type of team that like to play out from the back. So he doesn't do it very much. That's probably why his passing accuracy is very high. But I would, from watching him, I would say his decision making is good. My biggest concern with him is commanding his area from crosses, things like that. And I've got the same concern with James Trafford, because James Trafford can come out for balls he doesn't need to, and he can fumble a little bit and concentrate on what the striker's going to do to him rather than concentrating on catching the ball. And I get similar impressions of Rissa. That's why I compare the two, very similar. So I think once he grows a little bit more, once he gets a little bit more experience, he'll command his area, because that happens to every goalkeeper. It's like a striker get more box awareness. The goalkeeper does the same in his box. So I think that would be my only concern. But when it comes to shot stopping, just coming out and not collecting crosses, but like through balls, making that decision, I'm super comfortable with that. I think he's had a brilliant season. And I think if the rumours are to be true and you can get him for 20 million, I'd be paying that money, because if he's going to last you 7-8 years, you're gonna that turn on investment's going to be there. So for 20 million for a high upside signing like him would definitely be it, in my opinion.
I 100% agree with you. Your assessment on him with regards to his strength and his weaknesses. I agree. I've not seen enough of him command his area for that reason that you said about his defense. So good, they just clear everything. The only thing shots from distance is where you see his ability to shot stop. Although PSG scored a wonder goal where he couldn't get anywhere near it the other night.
Yeah, I was watching that game.
You couldn't even get anywhere near that.
No,
we couldn't even attempt to save it. But just one quick one. So we've got other positions, other players to go to. If you had a choice between Robin Risa and James Trafford, who would you go for this summer as your number one priority?
Am I putting valuation in it as well, or just ability, or we're considering everything here?
Yeah, considering everything. I mean, I think value is important, because we will be looking for value. Yeah,
exactly. Because we've got other areas that we have to strengthen. So if we can pinch in certain areas. So based on valuation, probably wages as well, I would go for Rissa. But I think because he's just about to play Champions League football, probably for the first time in his career. So would he want the move? I don't know. What do you guys think? Because he might say, if I stay here for 1 year and play Champions League football, and another club will come in for us next season if I have another good season. So what do you think? Because RC Lens could accept the offer and the player could say no, because that happens sometimes. So like, would he stay for Champions League football, considering we might not have European football? I don't know. And I think with Pep leaving Man City, Trafford might actually stay now, because Maresca might be like, well, I want to keep him. So that's another point you've got to consider. So like, you've got to weigh up these things, because Man City might be like, we might not sell as many players because we're going to have a manager transition. We'll not have a team transition and have them both at once. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting, because Maresca wants a ball-playing goalkeeper. That's not really Donnarumma, even though he's okay at it. More James Trafford. So based off what Maresca wants, James Trafford should be his number one. But I don't know. It just depends. So I would probably try and get Rissa for that reason, because I think lower wages, lower cost, and similar profiles. So that would be my opinion.
Good points made by Antonio. Daz, what are your thoughts on it? I know we've talked about it a number of times, but yeah, Antonio's raised some good points, to be fair.
No, he has, and with Pep going, it's another factor to throw in the mix. There's always something, isn't there, when it comes to James Trafford? But I have been listening to Robin Reese's agent all this year, or the last 6 months, Pete, because that's you're picking him up for a long time. And look, he does the quality. But for me, I want James Trafford. Bring Shagger home for me. Bring the Shagger home. But speaking of Shagger, welcome, Chris.
Hello, buddy. All right?
All right, you, mate.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Good man. Good man. Sorry, I'm late, lads.
No, don't worry. We're just discussing about Robin Risa and Trafford, who would likely go for with regards to value, and as well as that, Antonio's made some good points about Trafford may not leave now with Maresca potentially taking charge of Man City.
Yeah,
Risa may not want to leave because they've got Champions League football confirmed. So there's question marks about both of those. But yeah, just a quick one, Chris. Who would you sort of prefer out the two if you were targeting one or the other? Because we said Reece is obviously the cheaper price at around 20 million potentially, but obviously James Trafford's got that experience in the Premier League coming from Man City.
To be honest, mate, because it's such a big rebuild this summer, I think my preference would be to go with Robin Reece. Obviously, you know, James Trafford just provide that little bit more security, doesn't he? And we know he knows the league, but purely because I'm thinking of a budget, I think I'm probably taking a risk on Robin Reece. Although, and boys, sorry if you've already covered this, I know we were linked with another goalkeeper again today, and I can't for the life of me remember the name.
We've gone for a few.
Can't think of the name.
Was it
Let's have a look.
Yeah, see if you can find it. We talked about this man, Mia.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah. That's it.
And he knows loaded well because he's got the page on. He knows the drill. So we had talked about him previously, but I am mindful, lads. We want to go on to other positions, and I'll maybe keep it tight to just maybe a couple of players. But there's one player that you wanted to talk about as a potential, a player that I'd not heard of, but clearly you've been on a scouting mission, António. You've got a young, I believe. A young Croatian international at youth level, 17 years old, Raul Kumar. So talk to us a little bit about Raul Kumar, because I'll be honest, I've got no idea of him.
Yeah, so I've specifically pointed out right-footed centre-backs because I think that's what we need. And there's another centre-back that I've said this before. There's one called Raul Kumar, and there's another one called Jankovic. The both play together at the youth level. And I think if you buy one, you've got to buy the other because they complement each other so well. But I've just stuck to this guy because I think both of them have such high ceilings. Both of them. One's left-footed, one's right-footed, and the profiles just go well. So I think if you buy one, you've got to buy the other. So go and get 2 for 1 in that aspect. But do you know Vuskovic, who's currently at Hamburg from Tottenham?
Yes.
He's been excellent.
I'm so angry that Tottenham have him.
Yeah, me too.
He would be perfect for us.
That's what António was going to say then.
He would be absolutely perfect. But I think this guy could be the next Vuskovic. Okay, so this is why I picked him. He's I think he stands at 6'3", but he's just got another well-rounded profile. Like, he's quick, he reads the game superbly, he's super comfortable in possession, he's aggressive, he's a good duel winner, he's good in the air, he's like a Vuskovic, just a well-rounded defender. And I just think, when you watch him play, do you know sometimes when you watch people play at youth level, and they just stand out because of their actions, like the first touch, getting the ball out of the feet, just like decision-making and commanding, he's always speaking, controlling his back line. I just think he's got a bright future in football. And I just think his ceiling is so high because he's just a step ahead of all the other strikers at youth level. I'm talking about. He's made his senior debut this season. I think he started about 18 to 20 games or something in the Croatian league, and he's been excellent. He looks at home in senior football. Now, I know there's a disparity between the Premier League and the Croatian league, obviously. But I just think if we've got Malik Chow, we've got Sven Botman, who's played on the right side a couple of times away at Tottenham last season when we won 2-1. So we've got cover and we can interchange. And I think if we just bring in somebody like this, we can develop him across this year and just use it as a transitional season. And I think these are the types of players we should go for because of the upside. But when it comes to attributes-wise and profile-wise, he's just excellent. He looks a little bit too skinny at the minute, but I'm expecting him to grow into his body a bit. So when you watch him now, he does look a little bit weak in senior football, but I think he's just wavelets ahead and he reads the game so well. And that's what I like about him, his maturity. So good in possession, good in the air. He's a good dueler. He's calculated when he goes into his challenges. It's not overly aggressive. It's more of a calculated situation. And I really like him. I think he's got such a high ceiling. So him and his partner, if we can go and get them both and just breed them through together, I think it would be tremendous.
Well, Ross Wilson, you know what you need to do. Steve Nixon, you know what you need to do. Interesting one. Raul Kumar, one to keep an eye on, boys, and one to look at very, very closely to see how he progresses in the future. So that's one that António wanted to bring to the table. There's a couple more we'll bring to the table before we go on to midfielders. One that has been linked in January with Newcastle has recently been linked with Forest, which I really hope does not happen. And it's Thiago Gabriel at Lecce. Had a difficult season as a team, have Lecce, but Thiago Gabriel has performed fantastically well in a really poor team. But just tell us a little bit about what you know with regards to Thiago Gabriel.
I would argue he is one of the best duelers in Serie A. I think when it comes to dueling in the air, on the ground, he's absolutely excellent. I think in terms of maybe not physically wise, because if you look at him, he's quite lean. He's quite lean build for a centre-back, but he's very tall. But in just terms of like, he's got these rangy legs that just, he's always coming away with the ball. That's what I like about him. But what I like about it, I'm glad he's had a season like he has at Lecce, because what I always find is when you want to develop as a centre-back, if you're just in a team that consistently dominates possession, it means that you're never getting put in uncomfortable situations. And I think what I like about this guy is Lecce, sorry, I said Elche before, Lecce, sorry. He's always, every game he's getting put in uncomfortable positions. And I think he's really developed in such a short period of time because of that. And I think this is why I think when I watch him, I think, yeah, you're my type of defender. He loves to defend. He gets in front of his attackers. He uses his body well. He's aggressive. And I think when you get put into a good team and you've got to be the reliable source and you're learning and developing and you're coping and managing the situation, I feel comfortable watching him knowing he could step into a different league and do the same. So I think honestly, he's been tremendous for them. And without him, they would have been relegated a long time ago, in my opinion. So I just think in the air, he's very good. On the ground, he's very good. In possession, he could do with a little bit of polishing. He's not progressive enough. Sometimes he doesn't use the ball effectively enough. And he takes that extra touch to always move it on his right foot when there's a simple pass to his left. Just little things like that. But again, he's not in a team where they dominate possession. So maybe the options weren't on to play the ball. You could use that argument. But I just think when it comes to defensive abilities, he's excellent. Now, but obviously there's a couple of times where he gets caught out of possession and out of position, but I think it's because he's been relied on doing it all. He's got to step into uncomfortable positions like wide areas, and he gets caught out a little bit. But if you put him in a structured environment, probably wouldn't get caught out as much. So I think he would be a really good buy, especially if we're looking for these like hidden gems sort of thing. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
His price has been rumoured to be around the sort of 20 million euro mark, 20 to 25 million euro mark, which, boys, that's exactly what we want in terms of a price range for a centre-back. Surely, 21 years old, Portugal in the 21s. He will be a full international probably after the World Cup because he looks ready to make that step up. That's surely the type of centre-back that the right profile of centre-back we're looking at.
I have a question for António. António, did you bring Thiago Gabriel to the conversation, or did Pete put him in your head?
Pete put him in my head, but I knew about him already. Does Pete like him? Like
Pete's mentioned him a few times, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I think the next guy is who Pete wants as well. If you bring him up, I don't know.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, I thought I'd share the love.
I know Pete likes this guy.
He was a player that we've also talked about, and both Daz and Chris have talked about this player as well as I have. António Silva.
Oh yeah.
And a couple of years. And what's interesting about that is that he has been heavily linked with Newcastle today.
Yeah, he did. I seen that.
In the Chronicle, Sport Witness as well, and one or two other outlets have reported that Newcastle, their interest is revived. Now, what it's built down to is that Benfica want him to extend his contract, but he doesn't seem to want to. And it's either he extends or they sell him, which is why I think it's been brought back to the table that he could potentially leave this summer. Now, Antonio Silva, have to be honest, Antonio, I watched him at St. James's Park against us in the Champions League, wasn't impressed. But I've seen him in other games and he has shown. So just what have you seen of him that makes him stand out?
Yeah, I'm sure you've spoke about this guy for a while, but he's somebody that did fall out of favour at Benfica this season. Let's be honest about it. He got an injury, fell out of favour, couldn't really get back into the side. So when he started at St. James's Park, he didn't have that rhythm of games. And I feel like he's the type of player that needs that rhythm of games to like build up his confidence. Now, obviously, he's got quality. He's got a lot of experience as well because he's played Champions League football. He's played away to Madrid. He's played all these big teams. So he brings a lot of experience. And if you base him on his breakthrough season or even the season afterwards, excellent. Like, we know the talent's there. So I wouldn't define him on what we've seen this season. He started about 20 games in the league, which isn't bad. Isn't bad at all. But and you've got to think Benfica went unbeaten this season in the league as well. So they haven't lost in the league. So they're keeping clean sheets. They're not conceding many. And he is a good defender. I think people forget that because he's had a few injuries this season, they forget what he has done. And he is a very good defender. He's tall, he's rangy, he's good in possession. He's not afraid to break lines when he needs to break lines. And I think if he is in this contract distribution with Benfica, you could probably get him for a cut price. Because I remember last season, they were talking about 50 plus million. And if his contract is ending, Benfica won't want to lose him on a free. So you'll probably get him for a cut price. So he is a good defender, but he does always have his hiccups as well. And that's the only downside. There is poor games in him. So that's the only downside. But if you can get him consistently playing, I think that's where you get the best out of him.
Boys, I know we've talked about him a lot, but just your thoughts on Antonio Silva. Is he a player that you would want Newcastle to revive their interest in? Considering we're looking at a right centre back, what are your thoughts now, a couple of years on?
If we could get him at a cut price deal, somewhat, yeah, why not? But yeah, I just have to check what age he was because I think he must be about 40 now because it seems like we've been talking about him for years. Definitely about 4 years ago we were talking about him, but he must have been 18 at that stage. Yeah, look, he's definitely got more experience since then, and working with Jose Mourinho last season. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched him recently, so I can't really comment on him. And if you're going to Portugal and looking at him, what about Ousmane Diomande is the one throwback? But again, I haven't watched him recently. I kind of moved past a few of these players and looking at others now. But who knows?
It has actually been rumoured to be around the sort of £30 million mark that he might well be available for. So, like Chris, is that a price that you would want to deal with if you were getting a right centre back in to maybe fight with Malik Chow this summer?
I think for 30 million you'd have to be interested because he was a player who was on the list of many clubs around Europe at one point. And Antonio's already mentioned, he's slightly regressed a little bit or gone off people's radars a little bit. But I think if you can get a player now for 30 million, let's be honest, boys, even if you're buying potential, nowadays 30 million is like pretty much a standard price. So if you can get someone of his experience and somebody who has been on the radar of other clubs for quite some time, and obviously he's played at he's played in the Portuguese First League for a long time now, so you're getting that experience as well. Plus, as I imagine, his wages probably wouldn't be too high. I wouldn't have thought, given that he's in the Portuguese league. I don't think they'd be astronomical. I could be completely wrong saying that, but I'm making an assumption there. But yeah, I think if he's available and you can get him at a cut price deal, I think we should absolutely be interested. The only problem is because he is a little bit, maybe I'm over-egging it a bit, but because he is a little bit of a household name, as soon as somebody who's got European football came in would, that just blow us out the water. Do you know what I mean? So there's probably a little bit of balancing to do there as well, I'd say.
30k euro per week, Chris.
There you go.
Cheap as chips. Cheap as chips. So another player to keep an eye on from that perspective. I'm going to just move swiftly on. There's only really a couple players to discuss from a centre midfield point of view. One that's been talked about a lot and heavily linked with in the last few days, and it's Limon Kamara of Monaco. And I've got a feeling we might stay with Monaco from your discussions. But Lamine Kamara, heavily linked with Newcastle. We put a clip on of him scoring one of the 2 goals. He actually scored 2 that night against Strasbourg, 2 really good goals. Is he the type of midfield that Newcastle United need to go all out for to secure his signature this summer?
You asking me?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
100%. Absolutely love him. Loved him at Metz. I love him in Monaco, and I think he would be perfect for us. Whether we decide to play in a double pivot or a midfield 3, complements both roles. And I think he's a type midfielder that's got a bit of everything. He's all actioned. He's box to box. He can tackle, intercept. He's press resistant. He needs to work a little bit better in the final third. I know he scored 2 on the weekend, but in terms of overall contribution in the final third, but that's not really his role at Monaco. His role at Monaco was to get the ball, give it to the more advanced players like Magnus Alganuch and players like that, and you just do your thing in midfield. And I think he's ready for that next step, whether it's the step up in a different league or like Bayern Munich or PSG or the step up in the Premier League. I think he's ready for the next step. And if you can get him 50 million, look, it's a lot of money. It is, considering all the areas we need to strengthen. But I just love the guy. I think he would be perfect in our midfield. I think his attributes would complement Bruno and Tonali if he stays. I don't know if he's staying or not, but if he does, it would. But also Lewis Miley. And I think Lewis Miley could be the anchor, kind of, the defensive anchor, and allow Lamine Kamara and Bruno to be the box-to-box type. And I think it would really work well. That's my opinion.
Antonio, if we were playing in that midfield 3, it looks like we might be moving to a 4-2-3-1. Who knows? But if we were to play 4-3-3 at the start of next season, I'm asking you to compare him to existing midfielders at the moment, but not necessarily in Newcastle. Who would you closely liken him to in terms of like a Premier League midfielder, or even if there's one at Newcastle, who would you liken him to, past or present?
You see, he plays different roles in Monaco. So he gets different behaviors. So if Monaco playing in midfield 3, he gets a different behavior to when he's playing a double pivot. So his role changes a little bit. So it's hard to liken him to a midfielder. But if I was to liken him to anybody, do you know Sandro is a bit all action packed?
Yeah.
He gets around the pitch, tackles, intercepts. You see him receiving off the back line, but also you see him driving into the final third a little bit. He's a little bit like that, where it's just a little bit of everything. And if you can think about a midfielder with a little bit of everything, that's him. Like, not in terms of what he does in possession, but do you know how Baleba at Brighton is like that centerpiece? He's a little bit like that for Monaco. So that's like that type of player, like a Matias Fernandez for West Ham, that type of player that just gets a bit of everything. Tackles, intercepts, gets on the ball when he needs to, progresses play, just needs to work on his final third contribution. But the funny thing is, he's tiny. Like, he's 5'5", 5'6", but he's a beast out of possession. Like, one of the best duelers in Liga, statistically. He averages, I think, top 3 in tackles, top 3 in interceptions, top 3 in duels won in Liga this season. So, like, even when you look at him, you think, nah, you're going to be nothing. But when he steps on that white line, he's a bit of a beast. So I I just think he's got everything Eddie I would look for in a midfielder, in my opinion.
I'm glad you said he was similar to Sandro Tonali, because that's how I kind of see him. I actually see him as a Sandro Tonali replacement. Not that not that he necessarily replaces him this summer.
Replace him, yeah, makes sense.
I think even in a year's time, even if Lamine Kamara comes in and they play together, and then Sandro moves on next summer, you've already got a like-for-like replacement that's already
it's that smooth transition.
And that's what we should be doing. Absolutely. If Sandro stays, Lamine Kamara should absolutely be coming in. So I really do hope that happens. But staying with Monaco, you have another player that's come fresh out there, Monaco Academy, and it's this man here. I'll let you talk a little bit about him, because I don't know too much of him. Is it Aladji Bama?
Yep, Aladji Bama. He just made his debut this season, and he made his debut, 10 games into the season, and he hasn't looked back since. Because Monaco were actually going to sign a midfielder, and I think Monaco right now, in my opinion, have the best selection of midfielders in their academy that are breaking through. They've got a couple of midfielders. I sit there and I watch them and I'm like, wow. I watched them recently against Ajax just last week. And it was a game in Monaco. And there was this, Monaco midfielders. They're just breeding midfielders like there's no tomorrow. And I think this guy has got potential to be absolutely excellent. He's slightly different than Lamine Kamara, where he's more of a sitting midfielder. He likes to anchor, screen the back line, get on the ball, move the ball. He doesn't overdo things, but he's excellent out of possession. He's so good at just breaking up plays, reading defensive transitions, getting into good positions where he just prevents the opposition playing through you. So he's one of those sitting midfielders. He's not really a box-to-box type. He's more of a, give me the ball, I'll move it into the final third for you. That type of midfielder. And I think we miss something like that. I think sometimes our midfield is a little bit all over the shop, where they don't really know each other's roles. And sometimes they get caught out of position. We get caught in transition. So if we can just have somebody that's technically very good at breaking up transitions, doesn't want to be the hero every day and try and get in the final third and score. He allows other people to do that. A little bit like an unsung hero. I think Bamba's a little bit like that. And he only got his senior debut out of chance because Monaco had 3 midfielders injured. And they were League One do this thing where you can activate I don't know what they call it. It's where you can sign somebody not in the window on loan. Yeah. And you get one opportunity if you're desperate, and they do that. And they were going to do it, but they decided to promote him inside. And I'm so glad they did, because he's been excellent. And I think over the next couple of years, you'll be hearing about him even more, in my opinion. But there's a couple of midfielders in Monaco that I think will break through over the next couple of years as well.
And so, might make for a smooth transition if Lamine Kamara does move. He fits right in to sort of take that midfield mantle. A couple of players to run through, António, because I know you've got to shoot soon. A player that we've talked about quite a lot recently is this man, Mateus Fernando Pardon. And I've added him to the midfield, not the striker, because I personally think that he's more of an Anthony Gordon replacement
left wing
than a striker. That's just my personal opinion. But Mateus Fernandes, Pardon, talk to us about him, pal.
Yeah, again, I've been speaking about this guy since he was in Belgium. He was playing in Belgium before he went to Lille. He took some time to get going in Lille, but now he's shown his potential. He's one of those dynamic, quick, aggressive, really powerful running stride. And he's played on the left wing mostly, but he has played as a centre forward, kind of like Anthony Gordon has done for us. He's kind of had that role within Lille. Whenever they needed somebody to cover in centre forward position, he's been doing that. But he's had an excellent season, a real breakthrough season. I think he's technically very good, confident dribbler, likes to beat his man, can go on the inside, can go on the outside, and he's comfortable off both feet. And I think he's another one that's ready to take that next step, because I'm not saying he's outgrown Lille, because I don't think he has. I think he would benefit from having another season at Lille, but I think if somebody prized him away, they could develop him really specially because he's got such a unique profile where he's quick, but he's quite physical in terms of his aggressiveness on the ball. And I love that in a wide player. I love an aggressive wide player that just consistently tries to beat the man, consistently tries to move forward and be dynamic. And again, I think the way Eddie Howe plays, when you think about the way Newcastle play, it's with pace, it's with dynamism, athleticism. That's where we play. So he would definitely come in and fill in that left-hand side role, but he's somebody that will get on the ball and try and move forward. And that's what I like about him. But he's very decisive in and around the box, and we're starting to see that more at Lille. And I just think his profile's excellent and probably suited to the Premier League because of his little bit of aggression, which I like.
You know, one thing about him since we spoke about him last, since we're talking about him, he had played for Belgium underage, and then he switched to Spain. Well, 4 days ago, he's gone back to Belgium. So he's now going to be a Belgium international. And the thing I didn't mention about him last time, afterwards, Eden Hazard. So that kind of a look about him as well. Definitely one we should be looking at.
Yeah, I really like him. I think he's got like something like 8 goals, 5 assists in League One this season. So he's contributing the numbers as well. 21 years old. Yeah, I really like him.
How much did he cost, Antonio?
I think he moved to Lille. I'm just assuming here for roughly, it was in between 10 to 15 million.
Right.
Now you've got to think League One sides will always try and get a profit. So I reckon you get him for about 20, 22 million, in my opinion.
Wow.
And just think if we sell Anthony Gordon for 75, we've still got change spare.
I think it'll be a little bit more. Because
do you reckon?
Lille are tough negotiators. They don't like selling cheap.
I don't think he would be 30 plus.
I don't. Yeah, I personally think it'd be about 30.
Do you reckon? I reckon about 25 would do it. 22 with add-ons would do it.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good price though.
And
good price.
Yeah, he can also play as a striker, but I agree. I think he'd be more in that kind of left wing kind of role would be suited better, and that's why he hasn't got as many, because he's been kind of playing left wing. He hasn't got as many goals. 8 goals and 5 assists. That's what he's down at for this season. So
if you don't get him now, if Newcastle don't get him now, I don't think we get him because I think he'll have another good season, and then that's when you'll start to hear the Chelseas, the Man U's, etc. that will start be linked in, and that's where he'll end up going for 50 million, and Lille will extract that sort of money out. So I think it is very much a short summer window where we can maybe extract him. Otherwise, I think because he'll get better. I think he'll have an even better season at Lille if he stays there.
And Pete, he might actually be going to the World Cup with Belgium. So that could have swayed it for picking allegiances as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So I want to get in there quick.
I would not be surprised at all.
You could say, couldn't you, Pete? You mentioned Rayan not so long ago, and we heard the breaking news yesterday, didn't we, that Rayan is now in the Brazil squad. So imagine anyone trying to buy Rayan from Bournemouth now.
He's got a $100 million release clause anyway, so they're going to be demanding anywhere close to that right now, being in the Brazil squad, international. So there's one more player before we let you go, Antonio. I think we may well leave the strikers possibly for another show. See if you're free maybe next week. Jump on.
Look, come back on.
Finish the team off. A player that's been linked today, Bazumana Traore at Hoffenheim. We've talked about him on the channel before. I think you've talked about him on our channel before, but he has been linked. And NUFC blog were putting out exclusives not long ago with regards to Bazumana Traore, and they've just come back and said, scouts have been taking a close look at him, the Hoffenheim left winger, an exciting young player for the Ivory Coast, just getting more and more attention. But just talk to us a little bit about him, fella.
Do you know what I like about this guy? He's more of a traditional winger. This is what I find interesting about this transfer, because I think This guy depends on how Eddie Howe wants to play, because his attributes, what he specializes in, is receiving out wide and going on the outside, because he's a left footer that plays on the left side. So he always looks to go on the outside. Now, if you think about the way we played against West Ham, our left winger inverted, come inside, found pockets of space. That's not his attributes. So I think this transfer, we should look at it and be like, how do we want to play next season? Do we need a profile like him, or do we need somebody else? But his profile, if you can bring in somebody like that, it's excellent. He can play on the right. Majority of his time has been spent on the left. I do think probably as he gets older, he might move over to the right and be an inverted winger. But at the minute, he's playing as a traditional winger where he's left-footed, playing on the left side. So more of like an old-fashioned winger, should I say. So he always looks to come on the outside, and he's got unbelievable acceleration. Like, his his ability to modulate his speed is absolutely excellent, but he's got the tight, close control to do it as well. And I think just sometimes we're the type of team that needs somebody to get on the ball and get us out of tough situations. And I think he's the guy to do it. His sprint speed is incredible. And he's a good dribbler as well. Can go inside, outside. He weaves through traffic like it's not even there. So that's a type of profile. His end product could do with a little bit of improvement. But I think with this transfer, it all depends on how Eddie Howe wants to play going into next season. All depends on what type of profile he wants for his left winger. Does he want a similar profile to Jacob Ramsey, where they come inside and their best attributes is finding pockets of space? So if he does want that, maybe that's not the right player for us. But if he doesn't want that and wants more of a touchline winger, then that's maybe the right player for us. Does that make sense? So it all depends on what you're looking to do with your left winger moving in next season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I like the suggestion of him potentially going on the right and being an inverted, because I think that is what we lack at this moment in time. Well, with our right wingers, is that they're both right-footed. Alanga can use his left, but he barely gets on the pitch, quite rightly, because he's not playing well enough. But what I love about Badamana Traore is that you talked about his sprint speed and how direct he is. What I like about it is he does it for 90 minutes. He doesn't stop. Yeah. He torments his fullback. He's constantly, like with our wingers, sometimes you get to 60 minutes and start to slow, and their energy levels start to dip, and they're not as direct and impactful in games, whereas he is. And he's got 9 assists this season in a team that aren't particularly amazing. And I think with picking up a new striker, which I'm sure we'll talk about maybe next week, Antonio, when we get you back on, that we can talk about a striker that he may well suit and play well with next season, that they can build a bit of a partnership. So we'll definitely want to keep an eye on the boys. I know we've talked about Badamana Traore before, so he's definitely one to keep an eye on. But the reason why I wanted to bring him up is because he has been linked today. And in addition to that, boys, NUFC blog, Ollie and the team have said that both Traore and Fernandez Pardo are both represented by Unique Sports, who are the same agency as the likes of Gordon, Malik Chow, Jacob Ramsey, Louis Miley, players that we've signed from that agency and players that we have existing at that agency. So we clearly have a good relationship with them, which actually could lead in to potential signing to maybe both players. And who knows?
Relationships matter. And do you know what I would do? I would, in my opinion, I would sell Jacob Murphy and bring them both in. But I would also bring in there's somebody playing in the Swedish league called Zodak Joanna, who's going to be the next thing. I think I've said this before on my channel that RB Leipzig will sell Jan Diamande and bring him in. So he'll be the next Jan Diamande. And I think those are the types of players we should be looking at, in my opinion. Why don't we bring in the next Jan Diamande? That would be my opinion.
The lad that you referred to, he scored on his debut, I think. I remember seeing he came on and just absolutely tore the team to shreds. I was like, who's this kid? I think he's only like 16 or 17, something like that.
Yeah, he's only young, 17, 18, yeah.
But
I think those are the types of players we should be looking at as well.
Yeah, we probably need some kind of a feeder club to kind of buy them in really young and then send them out. Like I know Foxy said we could have got Theory for 8 million or something like that, but he's in Hammarby in Sweden. So it's like a big, massive jump that into the Premier League, you know.
One player I think we have missed out on is Patrick Zambi, who's been playing in League Two in the French league. He's just moved to Paris FC for 25 million euros, and I think he's going to blow up.
That's the lad, Antonio, and we covered the transfer show on the deadline day. That was the deadline day we were going to get.
Yeah.
I think it was him, because Craig Hope reported that we were close to signing him, and then it, like, literally about an hour or so later, it was like, oh no, he's agreed a deal with Paris FC for like 20 million or something, and it was like a deal where, oh, we're going to sign someone, and then it was like, he's staying and he's going to go to Paris FC, who have absolutely lit up Ligue 1. They've been fantastic this season. They really have. But yes, I believe that's the same player. So yeah, you're right. He's got massive potential. For sure. Have we got 1 minute of quick fire round questions? Just throw it Antonio before he leaves, because I know he stayed a little bit longer than anticipated.
Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Antonio. Interesting one here, Antonio. It's an interesting one from Stu. Stu says, has Antonio got a sister called Lavelle? I went to school with her.
Yeah. That's me, sister. That's interesting, actually. Yeah. Lorella Mango. Well, there's not many people with a second name as Mango, is there? So,
Nice one, Sherlock.
Actually, I don't know if Stu knows, but she's pregnant now, actually. She's only a couple of weeks pregnant, so... Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Congratulations. Everybody knows now, Antonio.
I know.
Let's see, what else have it? Oh, I've got to ask you. Well, in fact, there's one for Peter here. This did make me laugh. In fact, I'll ask it now because I've seen it. Jono says, Mango, any thoughts on Balogun from Monaco as Gordon's replacement? He's been very good this season and will have a point to prove in the Premier League.
Yeah, he scored like 13 goals this season in League One. He's had a very, very good season. What I like about him is his finishing ability. I think he knows his way around the box. He's a very good, very calculated mover off the ball. What I don't like about him a little bit is his link-up play. I think he could do with a little bit of polishing when it comes to his overall game. But when it comes, if you're just looking for a finisher, brilliant. I think he's an excellent finisher, to be honest. So it's interesting. I think with a player like him, he would have a point to prove, you're right. I think it would all depend on finances. You don't want to overspend on somebody that could be a risk in the Premier League. But I think if you can get him firing and confident and create chances for him, because another thing that worries me is, when you watch Newcastle, we need a striker that is a self-creator. William Masula is a self-creator. Yeah. He just creates for himself out of a little bit of chaos. We're not very good at creating chances or creating quality chances, unless we're bringing a number 10 or Nick Valdemar starting to do it. But I think our striker, if we bring in a striker that relies on service, then we're going to have to bring in better creativity. But if we're going with a striker like William Masula that can self-create, we don't have to rely on that creativity as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think Balogun relies on service, because he's all about that box movement and getting in a good position. So he's expecting the service. When you don't give him that service, he can go missing a little bit. So it's all about giving them that service. And that's a type of thing we've got to think about in Eddie Howe's system, because we don't have those patterns set up. We don't have those rotations to consistently create for your striker. So we rely on Alexander Isak, who can be a self-creator. We had moments where we created for him. William Masula, goal against Man United, self-creating. Goal against West Ham, self-creating. Just creating a separation. So we we're better with a self-creating striker, put it that way. Nick Valdemara needed a little bit of service. That's why he tailed off a little bit when the service wasn't coming in. Does that make sense? So I think Balogun's a little bit of a rely on service type of striker. And when you're not getting that service, it's a bit difficult for him.
He's a counter-attacking striker.
Yeah.
Some of the goals that I've seen is been very much on the counter-attack. So
yeah,
Monaco sitting deep, break quickly, and then he exploits his pace in and behind defenses where the ball's just been launched long and he runs onto it, and then he gets on the end and does his business. So I do agree with you. His hold-up play and his work. The one thing I'll say is that that's, I think, what I'm hoping to see from Newcastle, that we improve on this summer, is that we buy in the creativity for our team and for our strikers. So the players that we bring in are going to be more creators, particularly at the top end of the pitch. So it could work, but would just really quickly, would you? It was bought for 30 million euros, so around 25 million from Arsenal. Would you say we could be in the ballpark of getting someone like him for about 35 million? Because Monaco do need to sell, which is why I think the link with Kamara and Balogun have come about.
Yeah.
Would you think we could get that potentially a deal?
I think it would be tough because Monaco themselves are notorious difficult to negotiate with, which is why they've been so strong and so hard on Lamine Kamara's price tag, even though they need to sell. Al-Ghanouch, they needed to sell Al-Ghanouch last summer, but they kept him because they were adamant they were getting 50 million. And they wanted 50 million only. So they are hard negotiators. 35 million for Balogun. I don't know if Monaco would sell for that. I think they would ask for about 40 because of what he brings them. Yeah.
Yeah. Five in the
and I don't know if there's better value for money out there if we just work a little bit smarter for 40 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to do, isn't it? That's what we've got to do.
Yeah. Work smarter, not harder. I think his finishing is top, like so good if you give him chances. But that's the only sticking point. But go back to your point, Pete. I do think that's our next step. We've got to take that next step where we're working out patterns of play. We're working out this creativity situation. I think we'll only take that next step, Eddie, if we start doing that. So that's the next step we've got to take. So we've got to bring in players like, for example, we're kind of just bringing wingers that are always, I always call them ball of front wingers, where they want the ball in front of them so they can latch onto it. So ball ahead wingers. We always consistently want those wingers. Anthony Gordon's one of those wingers. We need a winger that's more of a wide playmaker, in my opinion, that will get on the ball and just work a little bit of ingenuity in the final third, have a little bit of charisma, a little bit of flair in the final third. Somebody like a Matthias Sule or a Magnus Al-Ghanouch or a Karatas from Genk or Bilal El-Khanous or somebody like that doesn't rely on balls getting put in front of them that they can run onto. I think that's the next step we need to take.
Yeah. And that's what Elanga is, isn't it? That's exactly what Anthony Elanga is. And we've spoken about this a lot, Antonio. So it's really nice that you've said that because, and that's why we were swooning over Alan St. Maximin not so long ago, because Alan St. Maximin would receive the ball and he'd make something happen. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I think we're missing that a little bit.
Yeah,
but we are going to talk strikers. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I was just going
to say we are short on time, just because I know, Antonio, you've got to leave soon. Was there one more, Chris, or
one more little one? I was just going to say we are going to go back to strikers, so we'll talk about Balogun and others in more detail. I'm sure. Dead quick, Antonio, because I've been dying to ask you this one from David.
No, you're good.
How much potential does Rory Finneman have? We've been talking about him a lot recently. What's the score with him?
Yeah, I love him. Absolutely love him. Gonna be honest, I don't think he's ready to be a regular first team starter in the Premier League, but his ceiling is very high, very high. And like you know yourself, I watch a lot of youth football, and you get some players that do stand out, and he stands out. Just everything about him: maturity, aggression, comfortable in tight spaces, always wants the ball. I love this in a midfielder. One of my favorite qualities in a midfielder. This is why I like watching Morgan Gibbs-White. No matter how bad their game is, no matter how bad their team playing, they could be getting beat 4-0, consistently want the ball. And I think Rory Finneran's a little bit like that. Just give me the ball. Doesn't matter what situation. Because when you think about when you're on a football pitch, you've got to support your teammate. It's all about supporting your teammate. So you always want the ball. If you go hiding, you're putting your teammate in trouble. You're not just you're not hiding from yourself. You're hiding from your teammate as well. Rory Finneran stands out because he always wants the ball. Always. And I love that quality in the midfielder. I think we should start, in my opinion, we should start putting him in that senior team. Next season, I want to see him in the squad a little bit. I want to see him consistently training with the senior team. I want him to get that environment, get him comfortable in that sort of situation, get him understanding what happens on match days, because it's different than what happens on match days and under 21s. And so get him in that environment. What do you do when you go on away trips? What do you do for home trips? Get him used to those traditions that Newcastle United have got. And I think he's got potential. If he doesn't get injured, touch wood, or nothing happens to him in terms of his mental aspect, he's got potential to be a first team for Newcastle, in my opinion. I like him.
Pre-season, lads.
Let's see him then.
Getting involved. Yeah. But look, Mango, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, fella. We will sort out, hopefully, if you're free next week, we'll drop you a message and we'll see if we can get you back on to talk more players as well. So apologies if we didn't get to people's questions about players, particularly the more attacking players, because we'll come on to that next week where the season will officially be over and then finally.
I just want to say thanks for having us on, and honestly, I absolutely love come on. So I'm free pretty much. Well, I think I'm free at the minute every night next week. So any night is good for me if you want us back on, as long as your chat wants us on. Because that's what it comes down to.
Of course they do.
It comes down to your guys, your followers. So if they're happy for us to come on, I'll be delighted to come on.
And go follow Antonio as well. The Antonio's channel is hyperlinked. Just click on that and it'll bring you and hit subscribe while you're there.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
We'll let you go and sort out your bits before the game tonight, mate. So enjoy the game and we'll be in touch and we'll see you next week.
You too. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Take care. Thanks, Antonio.
Top man. Great to have Antonio on. Superb guest and great talking points. Sorry we didn't get it for everyone tonight, but you know what? I'm not sorry, because we can do it all again when Antonio comes back on and we can finish off some players that we haven't yet got to, some players that we might have missed out from tonight to move on to certain positions. We can go back through the team and maybe talk through one or two other players as well. So it just means that we get double the mango on two mangoes. Why not, eh? Why not? It's the summer, it's transfers, we're going to be active. Why not? Why not do that? But great to have him on the show. But are there any questions related to players that maybe it's not Mango related? If not, I've got one or two bits we can rewind to, Chris, because I know you missed from the early discussion that we can throw your way.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a couple of questions in there that I don't know if we can get to. I will give them a shout. And Foxy, please do watch the next Mango show, and we will do our best to come to them. I'll just briefly mention them here so that they're not forgotten about. But Luca Bromans was one of two players I mentioned in December for standout players for the Belgian second division. A lot of potential. They have talent there. And also August de Wanamaker. I'd love to see Daz pronounce this. August de Wanamaker is another one.
No, you wouldn't.
And Foxy also says Rui Araki deserves a mention as well. What he's doing at Gamba Osaka at 18 made Ronaldo and Al Nassr cry the other day in the cup final. Yes, I did. I know you've said that. I do remember seeing him. But yeah, I just wanted to give Foxy a shout out there because I know this is Foxy's bread and butter. This, isn't it? So Foxy, I'm sorry we couldn't get to those, mate. But please make sure you watch the next Mango show and bring all these names. And also James Saunders mentions Gabi Sara, who's apparently close to moving to Villa. So yeah, next show, mate, bring them to the table and we'll do our best to get to them. But yes, we do have other questions. And there was a bit of news today, boys, wasn't there? There was a little bit of news. I spotted it. Little bit of news. And James Ansell, thank you for your comment, James. He talks about he talks about the news that Newcastle. Honestly, boys, it was so weird. I was talking to the lads about this only yesterday because they were asking, "Well, why have you not redeveloped St James's Park? Why are you getting a new stadium, or are you not getting a new stadium, etc., etc." And the news came out, didn't it, boys, that the listed buildings behind the Leazes Park, behind the East Stand, are partially have been bought, not fully bought, but partially bought. And that's led to a lot of speculation initially, myself included, and I'm sure you boys were the same. Initially, it was like, oh, okay, there must be a redevelopment. It must be no new stadium. It must be a redevelopment. But then Craig Hope followed that up with an article, didn't he, saying that allegedly the ownership is still looking and pointing towards a new stadium. So I brought this comment up from James Ansell, and he says the terrace would have been the main issue. We can build on part of the park. So having the terrace meaning that we have more control of what can be built on in that area. So boys, apologies if you've already spoken about this, but if you haven't, what were your thoughts? Because I'm interested to know your thoughts.
Well, I think we should put the question straight back at you, Chris, because we kind of gave our thoughts earlier on. On this.
Sorry.
But let's get your thoughts first on what you thought it meant. We kind of took it through what we saw first, and then go swinging in another direction and back and forth. But what's your thoughts on it? He's froze.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not answering that.
Am I back?
Pull the plug.
Oh, I am back. I can never quite tell if I'm back or not. No, initially I thought, we're redeveloping the stadium, and I must admit there was like a little tinge of sadness, because I think you boys know, and I think you share this with me as well. I want to see a new stadium. I've been to Hill Dickinson. I've seen the Everton Stadium. I've been to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm not going to lie. I want a new stadium. I think, we push forward with it. And then Craig Hope provided that little bit of hope, literally, when he said that the plan is still for the new stadium to come in. Now, for me personally, I want to see the new stadium. When I've looked at the pictures, I'll have to share the pictures with you boys, because I checked on X about historic pictures, and I was circling them for the lads and stuff like that. And when you look at the proposed plans and, why we've potentially bought some of this, have we bought the right-hand side of the listed buildings? Have we bought the left-hand side of the listed buildings? Who knows? That probably won't be revealed. But yeah, I was intrigued and surprised, because I was literally talking about it yesterday with the lads. But I'm also a little bit excited, boys, because that feels like quite a significant move to me. I don't know whether you boys shared that opinion. I will watch it back. I will rewind and watch it back later on this evening. But it felt quite significant to me. And of course, we had the rumor, didn't we, about potential investment, in terms of someone coming in and investing in the club. Some people scaremongered a little bit and were a bit worried that maybe PIF were thinking of selling up. But it very much sounds like investment from outside who would like to get involved in the project of, building the stadium. And I'm sure that would be quite attractive to some investors, because if we were to get that new stadium, the revenues are going to go through the roof and there's huge opportunities. So yeah, I was really, really positive about it. I'll be honest. I think it's good news.
I think it's great news. This has been the most significant thing we've had with regards to stadium for like over a year. Like, we've had noises of stadium. Oh, it could be Leazes, it could be one of the Moors, it could be here, there, everywhere, but still near the city. But this is like significant, because buying the Leazes Terrace is, you don't buy that unless you're expecting to do something with it or something around it. So for me, I think it signals a new stadium, purely because, and a few people earlier on were putting it in the chat as well, but a few people have put it on socials and journalists as well, saying that we can't knock down the Leazes Terrace, because they are listed Grade 1 listed buildings, so we can't knock them down. So if we can't knock them down, we're not going to improve the East Stand. So it's not going to be a redevelopment of some form. It will be a new stadium, and it just means that we're using those bits or have control over what we do with that part of the land that we're building. So that fills me with confidence off the back of that. I feel like a new stadium is inevitable. It has to be. It has to be. Even if we did develop the East Stand, which would keep St James's Park, which would be great to a point. At the same time, like St James's Park still needs to be redeveloped inside anyway, because it's old inside. You go inside everything else, like it's still very old within the concourse. If you've ever been on a tour or been inside where the changing rooms are, yes, the changing rooms are brand new and look brand spanking new, but the hallways, everything around it is still very old school, and it's not modernized. And players want to play in the new modern stadiums. Fans want to be in a modern stadium where it's got state-of-the-art facility, seats, etc., concourse, whatever it is. And you can only attract the big events, not just football, but anything else that's going to bring in that revenue if you've got the state-of-the-art stuff. Hospitality, we haven't got enough at St James's Park to generate the sort of money that we want. And when we do have the hospitality, it takes away from the match-going fans that actually want to be at the stadium. What you want to do is build a new stadium that has both. That has a designated section like we saw at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, like Hill Dickinson has got as well. We've got a designated hospitality area, but it doesn't affect the match-going fans. There's enough fans that can still get in the stadium week in, week out, but the hospitality is a different section if you want and if you wish to use it. That's what we need. But for me, I think we're taking too long. I think obviously things take time legally and blah, 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 but the quicker we get this sorted, the quicker we get those spades in the ground, the better. Because that's gonna be the thing that completely revolutionizes Newcastle United. We will officially become a top 6, maybe even a top 4 club when that stadium's built.
I was saying earlier, Chris, that could be used as some kind of bargaining chip for a part of deals being done with regards to building a new stadium. So and that's something that is kind of going off what's on X. And as it saw somewhere else, it's like it's not affecting SCR us buying this buildings, but we can. I don't know how true this is, but we could, like, with the profit we make while still renting them out or whatever, that can contribute back more to the coffers, kind of thing. But I don't know how much it would actually bring in. But they have a plan. They're not stupid people. They know what they're doing, and it does show that they're not wanting to walk away anytime soon by going down this route. And I think they bought it with a different company vehicle to purchase this land as well. So that's why no one saw it coming either. So it was a surprise. But yeah, I just want to hear what we're doing one way or the other. And I know David said in the chat earlier they don't want to go down anything until they have everything signed, sealed, but on the way to being delivered. But still want to know.
I like the little music reference again, Daz. You need to do that every show now.
What music reference?
Signed, sealed, delivered.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'm yours, Daz. I'm yours. Right, two references, or two shout outs I want to do. Two shout outs I want to do. Right, the first one, I've got to welcome Jimmy Watt to the Foxy fan club. Jimmy Watt is clearly in the Foxy fan club, as us boys are. Jimmy Watt says, where does Foxy watch all these players and games? And Foxy says, a few different ways, but majority on an app where I get pretty much all of the games. Y-Scout is too expensive for me. But yeah, so that's where Foxy gets all his vast knowledge. So yeah, Jimmy Watt is part of the fan club, as we boys are with Foxy. I also have to give a big shout out to Fraden. Loads of boys ready for Europe. Somebody mentioned it. Somebody mentioned him before. Yeah, there he is. Somebody mentioned it before, and I seen him in the chat, and I had to start it. He says, ready for Europe. We will get there if Spurs get 1 or 3 points tonight. # never give up. And then he's got little emojis of mushrooms, as some people have heard that, or inferred that Fraden might be on mushrooms.
Fraden's always on the mushrooms. I hope it's right, but
yeah.
Am I right that 2 games on tonight? The Chelsea game and the Man City game.
Yeah, so Chelsea Tottenham's 8:15, and Bournemouth Man City kicked off at 7:30.
Oh.
So we need a Man City win, and we need a See, I'm a bit torn. Well, actually, no, I'm not torn. I need a Chelsea win because I would love to have a little bit of last day drama, and the only way we're going to get last day drama is if Chelsea win and Man City win.
But if
you want
Spurs win,
we want the Tottenham win. If there is,
if we want Europe,
Newcastle point of view.
Yeah,
because you want relegation drama or you want Newcastle drama. That's your choice.
I know. We still need a few things to fall our way, though, don't we? We still need a few things to fall our way.
Look, if we get Europe, Freuden be available to come on the reaction show.
Oh, he's gonna have
on Sunday night, right? You have to come on the show with us.
He's gonna have to.
That's because
bring you mushrooms.
And share them out. One for everyone in the audience.
Oh God! Yeah, because
I'll bring you a brandy, Friday, because I think I'll need one if you come on and show you this. Because I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Right, boys. Question for Pete. I'm going to hit. We've got two more questions. So this one is for Pete, and it's from James Saunders, and he says, "Pete, do you think we will struggle to get higher up players with no Europe and no Champions League?" Or sorry, do you think we because he's a Villa fan? Sorry, James. Do you think we are going to struggle to get players?
Well, from a Newcastle perspective, do you think we will with the Champions League? I don't think we'll struggle to get players, but I think we'll struggle. We won't get the players that opposition fans will think we're going to get. See, they'll have us fishing in the market that we were last summer, and we're not going to be in that market. I mean, like James, you can see by the players that we've either been linked with or who we're talking about. These are not these high-profile players that all the top teams are wanting. I still think Villa will be in that market because you've got Champions League, but there will be a chance that you might suffer in some areas the same as what we did with the likes of Man U's, etc., fighting for these players. That's why we're looking in different markets. So no, I don't think we will struggle to attract those players even without Europe, because I think we're fishing in a different ballpark. I'm confident. The only one that I'm looking at that I'm thinking, oh, it's a little bit will we, won't we, is Lamine Kamara. But I think he's our top target, and I think that's why we're going for him. If this was last summer, and I could understand some fans, whenever I put a tweet out or there's been a thing you can see, and it's just like, he's going to end up here. We ain't coming here. I just think that I think we've got a sporting director this time, so this sporting director will get the deals done, and this is what I'm excited about. But breaking news, what is it?
Bournemouth for beating City.
Wow.
If it's bloody Rayan, I'm going to be fuming.
I'm about a minute behind.
Keep watching, Pete. Keep watching, and let us know what the goal's like. And please don't tell me it's Rayan. Oh, goodness me. Arsenal fans are going to be going mental.
Krupke. Junior
Krupke.
Oh, Krupke. Oh, equally as brilliant.
Yes.
Equally as brilliant.
Goals, says Jimmy Watt.
Those two 19-year-olds are just absolutely just lapping it up, man. They're just so good.
Yeah, but we'll have our own set next season, boys. We missed out on those, boys. We'll get the next set. Because as linking back to the question, we're shopping in a different market now, and a market that we should be able to do deals in, and we have Ross Wilson to cut those deals as well. So,
yeah,
confidence.
It's a banger. Krupke apparently turned down the Portugal national team. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Now, last question, boys, and it's an interesting one from DXLE. And again, this was probably other little bits of news that we might want to have spoken about, other than the stadium news. DXLE says, Daz, I'll come to you first on this one. Do we think the rumour of Tino to Arsenal for 50 million is basically done is true, which was said on Arsenal Fans TV? Do we think that's true, Daz? And do you want that to be true? Would be my question to you.
I didn't hear the 50 million part. That's the first time I heard that. But I don't know. He's not signed the contract, or he hasn't up till now. I like him in defence. I like him going forward. But he can, once he gets 3/4 of the way down the pitch, he turns to shit. And he doesn't do enough for me in that final third or final 3/4 or final quarter of the pitch. But I still love him. But then the injuries as well is a major factor. And I don't know, Peter, you sent out a tweet of the amount of time he was out injured for this season alone. So if we, and I think we need to buy a right back anyway, but why not buy two, or else play Miley as right back and have bring in someone else as well. But so if we know Gordon's out the door. If we have to sell someone else, I would consider selling Tino. He'd be my next one of the big players that we could potentially sell.
Yeah. And Pete, I was gonna add that on what Daz has just mentioned there. Obviously, you tweeted out, didn't you, saying about his injury record, which when you look at it, it's really poor, isn't it, for this particular season? It's really, really poor. There's still hope, obviously, that he gets in that England squad, because I think that will no doubt raise the value. James Saunders has just said Marty has decent sources at Arsenal for transfers. He don't get anything wrong, lads. Interesting. And he also says he's apparently refused to sign a new deal, which we knew that because we've heard that for a long time, haven't we, Pete?
Yeah, I spoke to Potts about it this morning, about the video, because I fell asleep early last night, so I woke up this morning and Potts had put the video all over top, man. I'd seen that. I think you put something in there as well, Chris, in our chat, but he did say exactly the same thing. He did say Marty's got quite a few right with regards to knowing certain things. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Arsenal, if I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't also be surprised if that's why he's not been playing for Newcastle and he's been injured. I just look at some of the players that are injured recently, and Eddie Howe going, I only want players that are committed to the club. And I'm just putting two and two together. And I'm looking at Gordon and I'm looking at Tino and I'm thinking those two boys are probably checked out. And you know what? I only have to look at Tino's last couple of performances before he got injured to see that guy was not playing with any will, any want for Newcastle United. And I'm sorry, doesn't matter how good he might be or what potential he might have. I only want players that want to play for this club. And for me, if that's the case, if you're offering me 60 million right now, and literally, I can just see that on the screen, James Saunders just put that. I said to Potts, give me between 50 and 60 million. But I'm saying probably because it's Arsenal and they're likely to be league champions, I'm going, give me 60, maybe 65, and you got yourself a deal. A lad that's missed 5.5 months of the season, we can't hang our hat on players like that. We just can't. Newcastle United are not in a position to hang our hats on that. I had Potts come back and say, or there was a couple of Arsenal fans that came back on X and said, oh, well, we've got Timber. It'll be a really great foil for him and he can boost up the squad. That's great. He might well do well for them then because he's playing half the games in the season that he would be at Newcastle United, and maybe he will stay fit off the back of that. That's fine. But that's not what we need. We need a player that's fit and firing and that can play 30 to 40, 45 games next season because we've not got Europe. Hopefully we go deep in a couple of cups as well. That's what we need. And Tino isn't going to give you that. I'm sorry. He's just not. So for me, I'm quite happy to sell him. I'll be honest with you, lads. If you'd have asked me 4 weeks ago and you'd have said, what two players would you want Newcastle to sell in order to start a rebuild? These are the two, Gordon and Tino. I'm happy with them.
Yeah.
With Tonali, you're saying, okay, he can play Champions League football, he wants to go, but there'll be an element of frustration because he's a good player and he could actually make a difference. The likes of Bruno is just unthinkable. like players like that.
Hall, I'm thinking about as well.
Hall, yeah, I think he's all this noise. I think his agent talking. I meant earlier.
Just to pop in on that, Pete. Just to pop in on that because James Saunders has just said, Chris, check my comment on Hall. James Saunders has just said, also been told, and I did see this. Also been told Hall has said he would look at all options, leaving or even signing a new deal. From my sources are telling me Hall will sign a 5-year deal. And if you're going to invest in anyone and if you're going to secure anyone's future, surely you're looking at Bruno Guimaraes and you're looking at Lewis Hall. Surely.
I think Hall is signing a new deal. Hall was apparently on absolute pittance when he signed for Newcastle, like in terms of wages in comparison to others. And you can't be one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in the league, and going to the World Cup and be sitting at Newcastle United on pittance. Newcastle United absolutely should be giving him a bumper new contract with a huge increase, a monumental increase in wages, and giving him a huge extension. No release clause. That's what we absolutely should be doing. And I think that's it. I think that's the agent trying to get an extra 10, 20 grand a week out of Newcastle to go, oh, well, there's teams that want him. If you don't want to give us that extra bit of change, and Newcastle will then go, all right, fair enough, and just whack that money on there. And I genuinely, I'm not concerned at all. Like typically, who do you think was the first one to post a comment about Lewis Hall into the chat? Who loves to talk about Newcastle and any sort of negativity? One of our,
Charlie.
Possibly Charlie.
Our top table talk. Of course, it was Charlie. Made it there. Lewis Hall, blah blah blah. What's out of Newcastle? I'm just like, oh, all right then, all right. And when he realised he was linked to Man United, he should have been quiet. So it was linked to Chelsea. But look. I'm not worried about that at all, lads. I've got to be honest, and I'm more than happy to see Tino and Gordon leave the club if we get significant money for them. I'll be honest, boys. If we can get 50 to 60 million for Tino, we can get anywhere between 65 and 75 for Anthony Gordon. That there is our summer. We don't need to sell at that point. Tonali may want to go, but I tell you what, if anyone comes in for him, it will be 100 million. They will. Newcastle will slap that down because we'll go, well, we've made our money this summer. We don't need to sell. And they'll make it very cool.
I noticed, I mean, it might just be a coincidence. It might be a coincidence. But from what you were saying earlier about Tino, potentially sitting it out, or, he's got his injury and then it's like, right, you can see out now, your mind's focused on the World Cup. There was a picture, I forget when it was, but there was someone had snapped a picture at the end of the game and it was Gordon, Tino and Willock all stood there having a conversation. And I was thinking, I wondered if the three of them are all, has Willock been told
waiting for a taxi?
I saw that picture. That was that was near the dugouts. It was kind of like quite. Yeah, I did see that picture. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all.
And that would line up with the Willock outburst, wouldn't it, at Bruno? And then obviously, they've made up and stuff like that. And Willock's obviously trying to put himself in the shop window, as we suggested in the last game, in the last show. Sorry. So yeah. Also, I'm going to come to one more thing, but. Just while we're on the Tino subject, and a few people have written it, and boys, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think it's right. David Cook is saying 50 million for Tino means no profit, and then shortly further down, Gary D says if it's 50 million, we only make 10 million on Tino. Now, my understanding was, boys, that we signed Tino Livramento for around 32 million pounds. That was my understanding, and don't forget, Tino's been here now for a number of years. So that value that we, invested in Tino would mean to me, assuming he signed a 5-year deal, and I'm talking ballpark here, surely we would only owe about 15, 20 million on him, roughly. So if we were to get 50 million for him, or 60 million, then surely that's quite a big, bit of money that we're making on him. Or am I getting this wrong?
No, I was under the impression it was 32 rising to 35 as an overall package. I know, to be fair, I've seen a couple of people on social saying the overall deal was 40 million, but I've not seen anything anything like that, especially when it was signed and sealed. There was nothing along that lines. The only thing I saw was 32 rising to 35.
And
So yeah, you're right.
Here, is it 2 years?
He came on the 8th of August 2023. And he signed in euro terms, it was 37.2 million euro was the fee.
Yeah, he's just finished his third season then with this.
Yeah.
So
that's 3 years of money we've paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, Hall was 28 million. David Cook's gone. Hall was 32 and Tino was 40. But no, I didn't see that plus 8 million. Hall was 28 million initially, and unless he's adding on maybe the loan fee that went into it to make it 32 all in. But when we actually signed him, it was a 28 million deal.
Yeah, and even if let's say worst case scenario, even if it was 40 million, which I'm not sure it was, if you do that amortized over 5 years, that's 8 million a season. So we'd have paid 24 million roughly of that 40 million already, which means we only owe 18 and 24. We only owe 16 million on him.
Yeah.
And then if you're bringing in 50, there's your big profit.
That's how I see it.
Yeah,
so I would assume we would have made significant profit on it. So yeah. I mean, like the whole thing, I think didn't even really matter because, like, I just purely see as Simon getting him a new contract, but the Tino thing, there was add-ons. I thought the add-on Sophie was 32 rising to 35, so an extra 3 on top of that. I didn't hear anything about 8. And they've got no sell-on clause as well. So that if that's right, Foxy, that's something that I didn't hear either. I didn't hear anything.
Got no playoff final either.
Yeah, no playoff final, absolutely. So yeah, 42 million.
Yeah,
42.
Sorry, Mike.
I know, yeah, Jesus. Right, boys. Foxy asks an interesting one, boys. Just to wrap this up, and obviously it's not going to be a straight swap, Foxy, because we know for SCR reasons it would be silly to do this. But I get why you're asking the question. Foxy says, would you take Nwaneri? That's it. Would you take Nwaneri plus money for Tino? Now, we wouldn't do it like that, Foxy, but I think what you're asking is, would we be interested in buying Nwaneri and then maybe selling Tino? But what would you boys think of that one?
Do you want me to go first?
Go on.
Go for it, Pete, yeah.
Nwaneri is a quality young player who's got bags of potential. And if you'd have asked me in January, would I have took him? I'd have said absolutely. But from what I've heard at Marseille, apparently his attitude's been absolutely stinking. He's had a really poor attitude over there on loan. He went to Marseille on loan. And yeah, there's been concerns raised about his type of attitude off the pitch. And that concerns me a little bit. So for that, I'd probably say no. His performances haven't been great either. I think he might be. I worry for him that he's one of them that, you know, if Arsenal don't want him and he ends up leaving, he kind of tanks it quite quickly. Is that one that's got bags of potential, but then doesn't realize it or doesn't like stay motivated once he leaves his kind of like his academy club who he kind of grew up in. I find he could be one like that. I hope he isn't, because he is a top quality player. Well, there you go.
Injuries screwed him though.
Yeah. It does.
But even so, when he has been fit, he don't even start for Fulham. And he signed for them for like 30 million. A huge fee for a player that hadn't been proven. Only a small selection of games, and they paid a huge fee for him. And I don't think he's repaid that at all. Possibly not, James. Possibly not. But I just think the ballpark that we're in right now, and let's be honest, some of the wingers that we're talking about, they're exciting. They're exciting wingers that bring excitement to the team that don't have some of the baggage that this lad potentially could have. Talent-wise, yes, but I haven't seen enough that we can hang our hat on him yet, if that makes sense. Like with some of the others, they are a little bit of a risk because they play in a lesser league as such, but the quality is undoubted. And I think that quality could seriously improve our team. I maybe just need to see a bit more on Wanyeri, but yeah, at this moment, no, because I think we're probably linked with players that have done more in the game so far.
Yeah. Oh, and James says Enzo Maresca wants Tonali at Man City, and he's been told Newcastle United want between 80 and 100 million. And this is going to be an interesting one, James, because as Pete mentioned earlier, you know, if we get rid of Tino early doors, if we get rid of Anthony Gordon early doors, that price isn't going to change, particularly for a fellow Premier League club. And with this whole uncertainty over Pep, you know, is Elliot Anderson going to be looking at this and going, do I want to go to Man United instead? So I think that could have quite a big impact on what the two Manchester clubs do, because we're hearing that Man United want to buy a new central midfielder, Man City want to buy a new central midfielder, but if either one of them misses out on Elliot Anderson, could that make them go for Sandro? I don't know, but as long as Newcastle do their business early, Newcastle will then be replying to said club and going, well, we're fine for money. I don't know if you noticed, we've just sold Tino Livramento, we've just sold Anthony Gordon, so the price for Sandro is X. So it puts us in a strong position.
Yeah. Unless they're getting two midfielders, because I think City are getting Elliot Anderson. James has put that in the chat. He says that Anderson to City is done. I'd heard it from somebody else who knows the family that says that he's already told people that he's going to City at the end of the season. It's just a case of what fee it is. I don't see Man City, if they're going to pay, I think it'd be between 60 and 70 million that they pay for Elliot Anderson. I can't see them then going out and spending anywhere between 80 and 100 on Sandro Tonali. I just don't see them spending that much on two centre midfielders. I don't personally. So I think Elliot Anderson gets done at City. I think that narrows significantly the market that Sandro Tonali is potentially in. It could change, but let's be honest, boys. If we're, as we said about Lamine Kamara, who's a very similar skill set to him, if we were to get someone like him and sell Tonali for over 100 million, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because we can properly invest. We'd like to keep him because we know he's a quality player and he knows the club, this, that, and the other. But I don't think it's the end of the world if someone's willing to pay anywhere near to 100 million for him. I think we're in a position where we're laughing.
Imagine, Pete. Just imagine if we're getting over 200 million for those three players, and it's done early doors. You then go.
Everyone knows we have the money.
A window. Yeah.
Everyone knows we have the cash as well. Then I think.
But that's why we do our business early, though, Daz. So
Yeah.
if we go out and get Lamine Kamara early, let's say, for example, we get Lamine Kamara early, we get a winger maybe just before the World Cup or maybe just after, and we get two or three of the key signings that we want in early doors, and then your Tonali goes later on in the window. We've already done a significant part of our business. I look at the teams that we're linked with, lads, and I look at some of those teams. I don't think those teams are going to be haggling, because I'm not sure that the top teams are going to be coming in. It's only when the top teams come to the table with some of our signings, with the likes of Cousinov, players like that, the whole of last summer. That's only when the price goes mad.
Yeah,
because
but as long as they don't start to swoop in, like linger in the long grass and then swoop for someone that we that's what we need to get done. As you said earlier, but quick as well. Don't be hanging around and just get it done.
I hope that's true. I've heard that we haven't, but I hope it's true.
I don't think we have. We weren't in a position to, lads. James, we weren't in a position to. With PSR, we weren't in a position to negotiate to go, can we have a 15% sell-on clause? We just needed that deal done. We needed him sold, and we needed the money in ASAP. I just wish it was good.
Yeah,
I really wish it was good.
Yeah,
boys, I think we'll wrap up. Bring it to a close. Friday, we'll see you Sunday. But before that, we'll have a big match preview as well. So keep an eye out for that one. That's it. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button on the way out as well. And as I said, we'll have Antonio Mango back pretty soon again. And make sure to OK jerseys there beside me. Yes, I took the hint, Pete. Make sure you check out OK jerseys. You'll see it in the pinned comment. You'll see it in the link. Oh, did you get a package, Chris?
I got a
package. My package yet, but I have previous package. Yes, from OK jerseys, and use that code loaded on the checkout to get 8% off. What's the kits?
No, I'm just showing you the. I'm showing you
the towel.
Yeah, the towel. Yeah, but no, I've got me kits. So I will be donning it on the next show. I will be donning it.
Lovely. The OK jersey official note: when you got this, the golden yellow
part
ticket.
Of the club.
You are part of the club. The golden ticket. There's a couple of people that I've messaged, members of the channel, members of the chat as well, and I've said to them, anyone that's purchasing on OK jerseys, drop us a picture and we'll get it up on the show. Just make sure you've got your kind of flag, your OK jerseys flag, as Chris has had on just a second ago, and you're showing your golden ticket to show us you are part of the OK jerseys club. Come and join us. 8% off, loaded code, tops as cheap as £15. It's the place to be.
And especially when all those new kits drop. Anyway, we'll give this another go, another tune out, see if it lasts this one. Right, see you in the next one. Have a good evening.
Mama always told me, Papa always warned me, don't hang around with boys like you. Teacher always told me,